I'm actually not finished with this tank. I still have to do my lid. I still have to do this centerpiece, which is going to be full of plants. But I guess I could give you guys a sneak peek. Hey everyone, this is DWS Darius and welcome to another day in the fish room. Finally, after all this time, that stack of plywood that sat on my floor for so many months has been converted into a plywood aquarium. Now this tank was designed to be a plywood aquarium, but I got a little bit more out the deal because it's an even better pond. Look at that. This is pretty much a pond with a viewing window. So because this thing has so much open space on top, it's 4 feet by 8 feet wide, so a huge space on top. Of course, I will be putting the lid on. Later on, I'm going to make my lid, but it's still going to be transparent. So I'm still going to go with the pond idea. So I have some plants growing. I just put these. Look at these fish right up on me. This is my Orinoco, and they're not even as afraid as they could be. So definitely very awesome. But yeah, I'm going to continue trying to make this as much of a pond as possible. So yeah, we have the pole those. It just went on yesterday, so it still has to attach. I'll give it about a week before it starts attaching to the wood and growing up and down. We have another piece over here, another piece over there. I have some pots coming later today. I'm going to have 2 pots that fill up this entire middle piece. I'm going to have a lot of plants growing in there. We're going to have a nice pond aquarium right here in the fish room. Okay, so now I just want to give you guys a breakdown of this entire setup. So this, let me turn the lights on for you guys. This is a plywood aquarium. Some people ask me, what is a plywood aquarium? If you don't know, a plywood aquarium is a box made out of plywood. So it has plywood walls and it's been waterproof with an epoxy. For this, I use Palm Shield. So I use Palm Shield to waterproof a plywood box. Now this water is extremely heavy. They say 10 gallons is like 100 pounds. And this right here is over 800 gallons. So we have over 8,000 pounds. So of course you got to reinforce the plywood. So all around it we have a nice frame. Just to reinforce it. I do have a video showing some of the build process. I do warn you guys that this was my first time building a plywood aquarium, so I wasn't very diligent when it came to recording the entire process. But I do have some of the steps, so I'll be releasing that maybe next week or something of just the actual steps. But yeah, it's a plywood tank, plywood inside, wood. I use mostly 2x4s on the outside to just give it a nice frame. Underneath I have deck wood. I think that is like 2x6s underneath, just to make a nice wooden box. And then I sealed it with Pond Shield to make it fish proof and waterproof. Now when it comes to the actual size of this here tank, you got to measure inside, so the inside length, width and height, water height that is So the length inside is 8 feet long, which is 96 inches. The width is 46.5 inches, and the height is 46 inches because I didn't fill it all the way, because there's no sense filling it all the way. So I left 2 inches from the surface, and those 2 inches would have gave me, if I would have filled it to the brim, it would have been, I think it was like 960 gallons, but I did not fill it to the brim. I have it 2 inches down for splash purposes and things like that. So that gives me a total of 880 gallons. Personally, it would have been nice to go over 900 gallons. However, I'm sure these guys are not complaining. After that, when it comes to the filtration for this here setup, originally I was going to go ahead and dedicate this here filter, which used to be for this tank, to this here setup, and then make a different filtration system for this tank. However, this is my filtration corner and there's really not a lot of space to work with. So I decided just to change this up a little bit to incorporate just a few more options. So I added another chamber. So the water goes in this first chamber, second chamber, third chamber, fourth chamber. This chamber has halfway biological filtration, halfway mechanical. These two chambers have mechanical. On the bottom I have more biological with the form of lava rocks. Over here is all biological filtration, and it's split into these two aquariums. So I ended up sharing filtration again. Of course, like I said, there are pros and cons. Pros is that one filtration system means all this water is shared. So we have 880 gallons over here, 350 gallons over there, about, I'd say 55 gallons of water in that tub right there. So easily over 1,000 gallons with this entire setup. The only downside is that if any of these fish in any of these tanks get sick, everybody is at risk. So yeah, I combined them for a super simple setup. I'm using an overflow system, but the difference between this tank and this tank is that this tank is drilled, and when you drill it, it's just so much easier compared to when you have these overflows that actually hang on the back of the tank. So yeah, we have a nice 1.5 inch PVC drain in water. Right there is the drain. I was using this here strainer, but the strainer was slowing it down big time, so I took the strainer off. The only concern that I have is that my ghost knife might get curious and try to swim down there. So to prevent that, I would have made a different hideout for my ghost knife. We have over here a piece of PVC. You see him in here. So yeah, this is 3-inch PVC. He's in there. Hopefully he finds this to be his home. I'm going to come here and feed him every day in this house so that he doesn't have to leave, and hopefully that keeps him from wanting to adventure down into this here drain. But yeah, simple drain, draining water into that chamber, and then it's shared. So I have the pump pumping water, one going back into my 350, the other one coming over and coming in and coming out right here. Now with this, this is my first time working with a what is it called, strain bar, something bar, I forgot the name of this, but this is my first time working with it. Before, I thought that it was a bad idea because I was thinking that these small holes would take away pressure from my main point, but it's definitely not a bad idea. I would have did it bigger if I knew it was so effective, because look at how much water is being moved because I have so many holes. So yeah, this pushes water down, it comes down. You can see it has a little bit of a twirl. You see the debris in water. It has a little flow, it goes that way, and then it goes right back in the drain. So definitely not bad. Turned out a lot simpler than I anticipated. Besides that, we have my dual night crew lights. I hung them up there, and because they're hung up, I went and I got this app so that I could control them. I have a smart outlet, so if I go ahead and turn off the 880, it goes off, turn it back on, comes back on. So I'm able to control it with my phone, much easier. And that's pretty much the only electronics on this tank. No heater. This season I want to try to heat the entire room because it definitely should be a lot cheaper. I was going to do a circulation pump over here so I could get flow over here, but so far that spray bar pushing water this way is giving me nice motion, and so far it's looking good. So I don't think I will need a circulation pump. So as far as electronics, that's all I have. Then when it comes to the decoration of this tank, which is still a work in progress, like I said, I'm going with the pond idea. So I'm going to have a bunch of plants. This thing is so deep, I really couldn't do much at the bottom. When I put those rocks down there, I literally had to go underwater to put them down there. I may eventually put a few over there, but definitely not easy putting those rocks down there because my whole body has to go into the water. Maybe I could do a video with me trying to aquascape that other side, but my main aquascape was with these roots. I went to the my location for collecting driftwood, found some pretty decent roots. This was actually at a work site. They was digging over there and they pulled up all these roots and they just left them on the side, so it was easy to gather these. Gave them a nice wash. I washed them with a pressure washer, and I also used some Prezi Pro, which is a treatment for parasites, because of course driftwood this big, you cannot soak it unless you got like something huge. But I didn't have anything huge, so I used a spray bottle to spray with Prezi Pro. I let that soak for a couple of hours in full sunlight, and then I just went scrubbing and washed with the pressure washer, and here it is. Besides that, as I told you guys, I have 2 pots coming in that's going to fill up this entire area. I'm going to put my Eco Complete substrate that came from my 125 that used to be in this wall, and then I have some plants that I'm going to have growing from the center, and it's going to be like a little center island. And then you can see I have some wood mounted up there. Eventually I'm hoping that the pole throw starts growing all back there and just gives it a nice pond feeling with just a nice bunch of plants. And then lastly, when it comes to fish, look at the water just got so dirty. That's because when I was setting up this filter, of course I had to move my media pads and all that around, and that just put so much dirt in both these things. They were so black. The only good thing is that I most likely released some beneficial bacteria and it's able to spread a little bit better because I released it. But yeah, when it comes to fish, pretty much all the fish that were in this tank, with the exception of my 2 4-line Pictus catfish, which are back there, but everybody else is in this tank, including my Cichla ocellaris, Cichla orinoco, Cichla tomensis back there, the parasite, Oscar cichlid, flagtail puchilidus right here, my female gold morph jaguar cichlid. She's fighting my Crennin cichlid lenticulata pike. Ever since she's been in this tank, she's definitely been trying to climb the hierarchy. She fights everybody, so she's definitely trying to get a greater rank in this tank. You have my Lima shovel-nosed catfish over there. You saw my ghost knife hiding and that PVC over there. And those were all the fish that were living in my 350. I also added my male jaguar, who is currently, I'm not sure where he's at. I know this female has been giving him a hard time. He's over here. Look at all the dirt. So when I mixed up my filters, all the dirt settled to the bottom, and these fish just like going playing in the dirt, and then it just spreads all over the water. So eventually I'm gonna have to go in with a siphon and get that out of there. But this is my male jaguar. He's about, I'd say he's about 10 inches. And look at his size compared to this giant female. This female is just so big. But yeah, eventually I want him to catch up in size and pair up with her. And then if they do pair up, they both will go into that aquarium and be a mated pair. But yeah, he's in here. And then I have this small peacock bass, Cichla zingu. And he's just trying to survive because everybody has been trying. Look at the tomensis watching him. Everybody has been trying him, but because I have these roots, he's able to hide. And I'm hoping that because he has so much affliction, because these big guys are bothering him so much, it should encourage him to grow. And that's all I have with fish as of now. Of course, eventually things will change. As I told you guys, those jaguar cichlids, eventually I want them to come out and breed in a different tank. And then eventually in this tank I have some fish growing out that could go in there, like my female dovi, who is somewhere. These fish just went in this tank the other day, and these fish just went in this tank the other day, so they're pretty fresh in the tank, still trying to get used to it. But my female dovi, I have a female regular jaguar, I have a female jaguar dovi who's back there. You can't see anything because they're hiding really well. I have a Cichla mono peacock bass. Eventually I want all of those to go in this tank once they're big enough. I also have my Mesoharis Gphias back there, and the shadows I want to go in this tank. And then I have a peacock bass, a Nera Cichla azul, and a snook cichlid. They're very small, so it's going to take them maybe a year or so before they're big enough. But those are the fish I plan on adding to this tank. Now this tank has only been up for less than a week. I filled it up Saturday, and today is Friday, so less than a week it's been up, almost a week. So honestly, we still have to do the test. Normally I like to let it go 2 weeks before I show you guys. I showed you guys a little bit earlier, but so far so good. So far no leaks. I go around, I inspect everything, make sure there's no water on the floor. There is water on the floor sometimes because they do like to splash, but no signs of leaking. But yeah, it's only been 1 week, so anything still could happen. Of course, I hope nothing does happen, That would be a nightmare if I do get a leak, but so far, no problems. And of course, with the introduction of this aquarium, there's been so many different changes down here with all these tanks. This tank has all my fish from my 210, and some of the fish that were in that tank, that styrofoam had fish in it. So new fish are in that tank. Anonymous has this whole tank to himself. That tank is going to be broken down. My 210 upstairs is now an African cichlid tank. So a lot of changes, but we're going to take it one step at a time. So yeah, as always, let me know what you guys think about this here tank. Let me know what you guys think about this setup. Questions, comments are welcome in the comment section below. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.